how to land insane Eye of Agamotto's, in that Cloak and Dagger has sort of come to the same level as the Loki and Luna, so Invis Woman has seen a significant drop in terms of pick rate, which means that you don't have to worry about the force physics as much as Insomnia. Wow, that is... I'm not surprised, because you were saying the other game, right, that we had a Loki kind of player on our hands. Goonsky is known for his Loki on ladder, so
Goonsky, right?
No, his name is actually pronounced like that. I was informed by Oasis yesterday.
Why did you have to tell me that? I could have lived happily in like, I could have lived in bliss in ignorance. all right, Goonsky. Insomnia, what's the second ban here? What are you going to prioritize? Probably getting rid of the EMEA, to be honest. But then again, they've got some additional bans before the next Protect comes up. So we're going to prioritize for Luna here. Okay, Insomnia going for the preemptive strike on the strategist line.
I mean, they're gonna force Low 9 into having to run triple strategists if they even have free strategists available once Insomnia are finished with this pick and ban. We're still waiting for that Wolverine that we're anticipating being removed, especially since Insomnia are definitely trying to funnel Low 9 towards Pine Clone's Invis Woman, so that if the Wolverine does stay in play, well, Low 9 don't get to stay in the Invis boundary if Last Stand is up in charge.
That's true. Those static emplacements of Strategist Ultimates very vulnerable to getting stood on. All right, simultaneous bang going to come through here, and we can see the hover on the Wolverine, just trying to limit the damage that Damon can do. That much is certainly left to be considered. This, I'm not sure if we're going to see maybe Emma Mag come out, because I don't think that Insomnia's last ban is going to come before Low 9 can protect. Then again, maybe they're not too worried about it because Saint Tomoto is just so good at cap.
Saint Tomoto is incredibly good at cap to the point that it does tend to get banned out. But Insomnia, this is interesting for me. Insomnia went for the Emma, and they saved the Adam Warlock, which means that we're potentially going to be seeing Rescomp come through. But if Low 9 decide to mirror Rescomp, they've got the Magneto, which is going to be really good as a setup for them. The foundations of Rescomp are built off of 2 cooldowns in your engagement, Bulwark from your Magneto, and Blaster Barrage from your Star-Lord, so that you could always build Galactic Legend faster than the Meteor M build up on the other side, as Saint Tomoto is actually going to be protecting the Captain America. They think that Insomnia would burn that last ban on the Captain America, and yeah, they're on the right lines 100%. Insomnia wanted to get that cap out, and now they can't.
So now what to remove? Cloak and Dagger maybe? Try and force an awkward backline composition from Low 9? Human Torch. Okay. I mean, that makes sense. Whenever Crisis and Jerky are both fantastic at that. I personally prefer Jerky on it because I think Crisis can do a lot more on the hit scan, but of course with Punisher being banned, there's a lot more room for Crisis to flex around. Likely going to see a Cat Mirror match here. Password does like to play that.
I love that the Punisher is banned and Low 9 still trying to hover it.
Come on, man.
Like, wait, maybe I can get past this, but no.
I can break these cuffs.
He's forced over towards that Winter Soldier as Insomnia. They saved the Atom. We might see them full lock the res comp, or it could potentially be a pivot if they feel like they need to just go for a stall comp against something like Dive coming on through, as Adam is so good though in these first fights. Soul Bond is effectively a full strategist ultimate, and if the res comp gets any point percentage and control of that point, you better believe we're going to be going from 1% to upwards of 50% before they get pushed off of it.
All right, seeing Jerky on the Psylocke makes me happy. And Noct has actually been able to do some real bits on the Atom thus far. Most iconically, I think, on Symbiotic Surface. If Insomnia drop this map, that's likely our most likely destination.
Well, it's the min-max time. Low 9 utilizing the Jaff Bubbles to get out of spawn a little bit faster. Insomnia gonna have Passio on the Strange, but I'm not sure if they are setting up the portals. Oh, what? No, they just decide to walk to the point instead. They've got the Strange, they've got the EMEA, but Saint Moto on the cap and Jerky on that Psylocke is going to be making it particularly tricky for that backline to have to deal. But Lurkin with that Terror Cape and Relaxing Sky with the Sedation have a lot of CC.
Okay, rare for the Psylocke and Cap to both make it through the ban phase against the teams that like this kind of style. Saint Moto has been demanding so much respect recently as a lights out Cap player. And you better believe he can do this all day. Damon, however, tracks him down. The Cap not strong versus the high caliber that the Punisher brings to bear. Rolling forward, ready to swap everyone with a shotgun. Doesn't quite want to take the swing into Jerky for now. He's going to play defensive, though. Oh, coming out of a stealth. Yeah, I'd run too.
Crisis has already got Kraken Impact, by the way.
Oh, damn.
Doesn't have the space to use it, but everyone from Insomnia stacked up so much that Daddy was getting significant damage up onto all of the bodies there. However, Lurkin with that Eternal Bond is going to make it particularly hard for the Bucky to get picks up of the damage that the ultimate does. Nocta's already down that Soul Bond too. It got invested early on to make sure the Demon could fully stare down the entirety of Low Knight's forces.
All right, Gonski, can they be shut down out of this Eternal Bond is the question. Damon needs to... Oh, where did it go? Where did the Meteor M go? Well, it didn't go too far, but Damon also didn't make it too far with their own ultimate either. Jerky finds the perfect time to do the dance macabre, the dance of butterflies. It's a celebration here for Low 9, but not without significant investment.
Insomnia are going to have Sonic Seduction as well as Eye of Agamotto, but they were able to offset the res comp without allowing Insomnia to run away with the point percentage. Saints Mode is also going to have the Freedom Charge too to be able to stall out and give a particular harder break point in case that Sonic Seduction comes on for aggressively for Insomnia to break out of this choke.
All right, worth noting here as Beetle brought up, you can get the one tap with the Strange ultimate from Passivo if there is a damage boost onto it, but Crisis already grabs 3. There's a reason the streets are saying that the Crisis is the one and only. A 5-piece knockout with fries.
It's just Sardines. Everyone from Insomnia, Sardines in the packet, all pushed up into a very tight space. And Crisis, with the Freedom Charge too, donated by Saint Moto, has so much health bar to just continue aggressively pushing them through. Have a fast fight. They have been able to surpass the point percentage picked up for Insomnia, but Nocta with that Karmic Revival, they can go in, force out the Strategist ultimates from Low 9, and come back with their own afterwards.
All right, all about the ebb and flow. Make the forces happen. And then do your true Alpha Strike thereafter, opening up already, coming through. Multiple players grabbed in, mind controlled, and that makes it so easy to just burst them down with the final judgment. The Meteor M, it barely lasts for a second, even a fraction of a second against the damage that Damon brings out.
Lurkin didn't even need to use the Eternal Bond to invade into Invis boundary. It was just Soul Resurgence from the Mantis, Psionic Seduction for all of the space to maneuver forward. And then Demon gets the damage boost and Final Judgment off alongside a nice little Terror Cape coming on through from Lurkin. And Insomnia now have control of Choke. Gonski might have to use Eternal Bond just to buy safe passage for Low 9's players back onto that point as we head towards last fight. But Nocta, absent from perspective currently, you have to know he's setting up that Karmic.
Shutdown for the Eternal Bond could happen off the back of the Terror Cape. Jerky managing to really concentrate in a lot of that damage. Nocta falls down. Don't know if he's got his Soul Resurgence. In order to roll on backwards through here. Cat has already shut down Crisis though. And Saint Moto going down. Jerky doesn't have long for this world after being stunned out by Pasuo. Getting real value here out of the Eye of Agamotto. Damon takes a brazen angle all by themselves. Stands on business with the weaponry and just shoots lead into everyone.
Yeah, Insomnia continue to be Sardines, and they're so slippery. Nocta is the only one that goes down as Low 9 enter into the fight, but he can self-revive, doesn't even need to use the Karmic Revival. If this boundary is going to get put over the point itself to make sure that everyone survives Crisis, teleporting them directly into the mix, and even just get Soul Bombed, and Resurgence, and Strange Shield, and we challenge for Final Judgment, and Low 9 scatter.
Full pocket onto Damon. For now, though, great play from Low 9 defensively, getting real value out of a freedom charge here from Saint Demoto. Time for a resurrection. Nocturne starts to bring everybody back. Lurkin, it's just going to have a quick flash in the pan of a Kingdom of Hell before returning to the lands of the living. And Cat Forever taken down by the Terror Cape itself. Low 9 have turned this one around. There are still personnel here from Insomnia, but now it's time to make a call. Are they going to try and play this one? It's a full disengage, but there's an attempt to run them down.
I mean, Low 9 have to continue chasing. They need to make sure that Insomnia aren't able to stabilize. Lurkin is so close to Eternal Bond. Gonski is going to have that, and they're going to use it aggressively to try and find a pick and also force Lurkin into having to mirror. But dreadful tragedy! Insomnia infested! Eternal Bond and Soul Bond at the same time! And Wolver's Meteor M cancels it entirely!
Oh, unbelievable value here. Forever's going to be cut through by the Adamantium Claws. Low 9, when it comes to ult value, Wolver, Crisis, Jerky, all deliver. Pasuo can't stand up to the slicing power of the Wolverine. And that's going to be the first sub-map of Burning T'Challa, going the way of Low 9.
A little bit of a misplay, an overlap of abilities. Insomnia just invested so much at the beginning of that overtime that Soul Bond comes out far too early, and Meteor M finds the target that is looking for perfectly. And Low 9, they definitely had a tougher time of it. They were coming up against a comp that is known, feared on domination, for being able to stall you out and take you all the way up to 99%, where every single fight afterwards you have to overinvest your ultimates just to make sure that it continues. They're able to offset it before Karmic Revival spots can be found, before all of the soul revives can be utilized, and Insomnia just stall until that point percentage just keeps building up.
Crisis keeping pace with the Punisher damage here, essentially with the Bucky. Very impressive mechanics coming through from the boy. Really is allowing for Low 9 to try and convert on some of these frags.
Forever is going to start on the Strange teleport. Also scouts out where Low 9's positions are going to be starting. They need to know where's this Wolverine. Is anyone potentially isolated from Low 9's side? Can they force Invis Boundary as a reaction to have to heal off of the point, or can they just get Crisis?
Big isolation coming through off the back of the Exile. I believe there's a grab that came through as oh, the invisible boundary. Oh no, Forever taken off the map. Jerky said, you don't exile me, I exile you to the bottom of the waterfall. Check out what's at the bottom of this. Now Pineclone has to back off, has the Guardian Shield to try and play around. That's good safety that can be utilized. But move over to the Hulk here from Pasuo. Yeah, it's interesting, but you don't really have much of a synergy with it. You don't have the Wolverine, you don't have the Namor, and you don't have the damage to try and get through Saint Demoto, who's just undeterred, rolling into him. Crisis picks up 4.
Yeah, freedom charge from the Captain America, and he's just directly in their faces. In the meantime, Crisis removed from the fight entirely. Now we get the synergy. Nocturne is going to swap off of the Atom onto that Namor, but it does feel a little bit too late. Low 9 are already established. Crisis has the Kraken impact. And without that Atom, you don't have Soul Bond, so you have to poke and face tank the damage so that Loken can build up Eternal Bond to match Crisis's damage.
Lack of Soul Bond can be ruinous. Nocturne is at least going to be able to deliver so much damage, as you said, from that Namor. Trying to pick up the off angle. Of course, Crisis is already on top of that. The Gamma Monstro taken down. Still has in the back pocket a Kraken impact. This is a very, very wide position here from the side of Forever. Can they save? Oh, it's the perfect save. Lurking got it just in time. Wolver! Unbelievable accuracy. Oh, this is why the goat was on the graphic at the beginning. It might not be on the Doctor Strange, but bro is still an absolute animal when it comes to the Magneto. You cannot let him get his hands on the mutant.
Oh, he just rises literally above the EMEA Aegis and manages to take Lurkin down mid-dash, and Eternal Bond is divorced from existence. As Insomnia are sent packing off of this point. Forever does have Sonic Seduction. It's going to pave the way for the final judgment, but Low 9 again continue first, and now Insomnia are out of sorts, out of coordination.
Oh, the cleave from Pasuo. Too much to deal with right now. Should be a quick flip here. Moving over onto Saint Demoto. He could try and do this all day. I don't know if Insomnia are going to be allowing that final its adjudication, which is granted.
Crisis doesn't have Kraken impact, but at the rate that this Winter Soldier's been building that ult, blink and you'll miss it and you'll have another. Pineclone's also going to have that invis boundary, but that's not going to be able to stand up to Demon's final judgment damage output. Not if Lurkin's able to find a good terror cape. Relaxing Sky's 100% going to match the invis ultimate so that Demon can get aggressive into low knife positions.
All right. Huge amount of damage coming through already from Damon inside the invisible boundary. Everyone's feeling safe for a moment, but when Pasuo tries to turn this one around, the safety is gone. Crisis bit off more than they could chew. Wanted for CC immunity during the leap of the Kraken impact because they were scared about getting seduced. They just didn't have the damage.
I mean, Pasuo has a huge bubble. It gets everybody on Insomnia. So even though we see invis boundary for invis boundary, terror cape for terror cape, Gonski's gets broken by the Hulk. And Insomnia are able to keep Demon standing. And now Low 9 are relying on Meteor M once more to shut down Lurkin's ult.
All right. Oh, Jerky, hello. Uh-oh. Maybe a slight network issue coming through for Low 9. We'll have to see if that remains to be the case. For now, Damon just going to wait patiently within the culling turret.
Oh, they found the wolf. Oh, that's the passive.
Yeah. Oh, they saw him through a little pixel. We'll get a quick update for you guys. Ah, yeah, there it is. There's the pause. Yeah, looks like we've got a slight connection issue here. Low 9 have called for the pause. Look like both maybe Jerky and Goonski. Goonski, yeah. Goonski, having some trouble.
Yeah, unfortunately, it does look like Logan is going into regeneration mode. He does have, you know, the self-heal, but it takes a little bit of time, the body to be able to start getting to regenerate through some of the damages coming on through. But this one has definitely been close. I think it wouldn't have been as close if we'd seen the Hulk Namor roll out at the beginning. Instead of trying to stick with the Atom sacrificing that first fight. Definitely did them no favors. But given that the next fight is about to come down to both teams having Eternal Bond and Wolver having Meteor M, it's going to be protect the Cloak and Dagger. Whose Cloak and Dagger is going to live longer?
Yeah, and maybe that comes down to good usage of the Guardian Shield now, because of course, being off the Mantis and the Atom means that now there's an Invisible Woman on both sides. Mm-hmm. The Guardian Shield can be very useful for trying to deal with the incoming Meteor M. However, you can't. It automatically directs in the like wave that the player's facing.
Yeah. So if the Cloak and Dagger is dashing and they're facing forward and the Meteor M is behind them, then that meteor is still going to be able to hit the CD.
Yeah. We do also have potentially the interceding of the Hulk, the unbreakable barrier. That works too.
I would assume that is likely going to be the play that you would go for, where the Hulk is going to just jump on the Cloak and Dagger and then utilize the unbreakable barrier so that the bubble comes out, and Lurkin is going to be able to gain access to that so that the Meteor M collides with that instead. But it's definitely going to be up to Insomnia to try and really protect the CD. That or Forever is going to put the shield a little bit lower so that it also is tilted upwards. And Wolver can't just levitate and find the angle.
On the other side, let's think about how potentially Low 9's Eternal Bond could be shut down. I think one of popular ways to try and do that at the moment is a combination of a Terror Cape on the dash and the Punisher Shotgun, which can...
Shadow of Proteus. Noctis gonna have ult.
Oh yeah, that's true. The Horn of Proteus, especially on a Terror Cape's Cloak and Dagger, could be a great shutdown.
Yeah, they're really guarding the Namor right now. They know that the Horn of Proteus, also Blessing of the Deep, can be used to block Meteor M as well. As Jerky's got his hands on Pasuo, and that's already Unbreakable used.
Yep, forced on out. Time for Wolver to try and deliver against the Cloak and Dagger. Great, there's the charged Aegis. As you said, put up just under the Magneto to block the incoming Meteor M. It's a great chefery. However, everyone's managed to avoid the incoming Horn of Proteus. Still, Damon reigns over it all with the culling turret, has the final judgment if it's needed, and the call has been given, the call has been heard. Gamma Monstro takes down Pineclone. Crisis has bit off more than they could chew. The damage overwhelming. Low 9, they're mostly out of options. There's still the freedom charge from Sainamoto, but he can't keep everyone else sustained. He'll have to sit here alone and take the punishment that's been doled out. We're going to a third map.
Wonderful psionic vortex comes on through from Relaxing Sky in anticipation of the Kraken impact coming on out. And immediately Crisis just gets grabbed into all of that incoming damage. Slowed as well too. Great read coming out from Insomnia. They let it happen once, but the adjustments were immediate. Lurkin was just getting such a pocket, every single resource that this Cloak and Dagger needed to survive the damage that was coming on through the Meteor M that was sent hurtling in his direction a second time.
It's unfortunate. Great play though from Camp. Learned from their mistakes, and that's one of the things from Insomnia. They seem to be a very iterant team. The second that something goes wrong, they're very quick to adjust to it in the next map, or in this case in the next sub-map. So all is fair in love and war. The Adam Warlock's off the table. Going to be rolling out from the beginning now, Mox, with this Namor Hulk.
Yeah, I like the Namor Hulk. It puts a lot of pressure on the Psylocke. You've got Blessing of the Deep too, which is going to be able to interrupt Wolver's Meteor M if you don't have the Emma Aegis or the Hulk Unbreakable Barrier up. Because Passio is going to be able to utilize all of those jumps, which have 0 cooldowns, and immediately get the position of service side room for Damon to be set up. He's getting so much body block too. That was the Aegis, the Monstro, the Guardian Shield. All so that this Punisher could hold his position, but he goes down regardless.
Tainted Voltage, not suffering from damage off a big pull there onto Forever. Just dragged into a very isolated position. Does get the Guardian Shield. The remainder of the team might have to come on through. Or actually give over the invisible boundary to try and keep Forever alive and kicking back. It's a massive terror kit, by the way. I think there was 6 people here. And that might be a big disadvantage now for Low 9. They're going to be scrambling to try and protect themselves from the damage that was already levied in towards the back. Nothing grabbed off the Carbon Crush, but the melee damage might prove overwhelming. It's going to be an exchange now of these ultimates. Nice. The Guardian Shield finally comes up in time. They've started covering for Lurkin in the midst of all of this. Unbreakable barrier. It is broken in this case, and seems like Low 9, after just investing ultimate after ultimate and finally finding some value out of a Dance of the Butterflies, get the cap.
Yeah, I mean, for Low 9, they want the cap. They need that space because Insomnia now are going to have to send this Namor on an off angle, which means vulnerable to the Winter Soldier. If Passio tries to go in and play Disruption for the rest of his team to walk forward, also vulnerable against the Winter Soldier. And all the while, Jerky and Saint Motor can just disrupt your backline, force you to have to spend resources and precious point percentage on your rotations. Because look, every single time, they're not taking fights to find picks, they're taking fights to prevent Insomnia from doing what they want.
The Tracer Round's doing a good job of tracking Jerky's movements, though, allowing for preemptive rotations. Out comes the Final Judgment. This has been the death knell of fights before. Everyone, however, able to get into cover. Saint Moto just dodging around with a Freedom Charge, and it's down to Forever to try and keep this one contested. And it seems like there hasn't really been that much pressure gained. Crisis looks for a hook. Once Passio dodges away, utilizing the World Breaker Hulk. The invincibility frames getting some real value here. However, the invisible boundary could actually be countered out here by the Hulk. You can knock people out of it in the midst of all of this. I think someone was just caught in midair by a jump, and Cat has already fallen down. Forever, not quite so much in this case. Crisis. Oh, ultimate exile, and then the perfect play from Passio, punching them at just the right moment to bring them back into reality under Giganto's biomass.
Yeah, under reality, there goes gravity as the whale falls directly on top of Crisis's cranium. That was such a good setup too. That was Earthbound that Crisis couldn't use Trooper's Fist, the mobility tool, to escape out of it into the exile, which Passio perfectly times to break. And Crisis just can't escape. Insomnia, like we said, very good. They take one fight, they lose a fight, they come back, they adapt. The evolution is crazy. The potential insane. As Lurkin, yet again, has the Eternal Bond, and Low 9, yet again, has the Meteor M.
Dance of a button. Oh, lose it instantly. That's 0% ultimate charge right there. Look at the value coming through. By the way, Lurkin should be able to dodge away from this. Wolver doesn't even have good LOS onto it. Just tries to grab someone else on the back of the Meteor M. The spicy meatball hasn't been delivered. It's a 1-star Italian restaurant. And Insomnia, they clear themselves out of this fight essentially perfectly after getting 2 ultimates out of Low 9. 3 ultimates, in fact.
Nocta's outpacing Crisis in ult charge at the moment, which is horrible news for low 9 because Crisis is going to have Kraken impact. But the second that he uses that first jump, he loses the CC immunity and can get full lockdown by Nocta's ultimate. And that's exactly what Insomnia have been using to hold out against this Winter Soldier that low 9 have really put all of their hopes on. They looked for Crisis to find the picks, and Insomnia have so many options. The Punisher, the Namel, even just the Hulk going in and finding the picks against low 9.
Okay, Crisis and Nocta both equal on the ult charge now. Still got to worry about that Earthbound effect. It's going to be the, oh my goodness, the Final Judgment. It's already doing so much damage. Goes into the enemy territory. They just cannot stand up to the damage that Damon's bringing to the table. The Guardian Shield has barely taken a lick of damage. Insomnia, one fight away now. Maybe this could be the fight that grabs them the first map. A disengage off the back of a Scourge grenade.
Stagger.
He's getting themselves staggered. And Crisis is going to have to pull it back.
Yeah, which means that we give up Kraken impact, but you're portaling directly into Earthbound. The Hornet Proteus is up for Nocta.
It's going to be difficult to try and deal with. Senimoto putting the hurt in onto Damon. The healing's there, though. Consistent knockbacks. Unbreakable Guard delivered now by Pazuo. Still has the World Breaker Hulk. In comes the damage. Great dodge coming through from Gonski in the middle of all of this. And Pazuo just taking so much damage. 1,500 health. Does not care when you go up against percentage-based damage like you get from the Wolverine. Still, it's Nocta delivering the final blows. Exiled for a moment. Pazuo back into their regular Hulk form. What a delivery from Jerky, where they needed it the most. Oh, the value's there from the last stand.
Oh, I think Insomnia were wishing they kept the receipt on that one. They would very much like to return that parcel. Insomnia are going to have one more fight. It's going to come at the cost, though, of the Hulk, which is going to impact Nocta. So Nocta's actually going to swap over to the Adam Warlock. This is something we see from Insomnia time and time again, so that Nocta has the self-revive and can come back into this fight. And Insomnia have another body, as Lurkin is going to use that Eternal Bond immediately to make sure that Insomnia live.
Over so low. Has to use the Meteor M. Wants to shut down Lurkin. Unable to connect. So now the Eternal Bond's going to be on for the remainder of this. And Damon's going to have plenty of healing underneath him. Almost invincible during this Final Judgment. And Final Judgment has been rendered already onto Gonski. The remainder of the squishies need to be dealt with inside the invincible barrier, though. They are unable to be seen. It's forever. The last piece of punctuation on this sentence. Trying to shut it down. Wolver avoids being taken down for now, but it's the beam that finishes them in the end. A passive burn from the Wolverine. Saintamoto tries to take it out all alone. And while Jerky may have built another last stand in record time, they can't bring out two miracles in a row.
I think a lot of people were worried when they were looking at this matchup, when they were looking at the pick and bans. Like, we definitely were concerned when we saw the Wolverine go, because there's been that permanent question of, like, how effective is Insomnia as a team when they don't have the Wolverine? Because it feels like every single time they've been able to pull off, like, the magic overtimes, the insane symbiotic surfaces, it's been when they've had the Wolf comp in play. But that round of Burn into T'Challa, that showcased that no, it's not just the Wolverine. It's the fact that this is a team that makes adaptations that are potentially one of the fastest at making adaptations. They lose one person to a specific type of play, and for the entire duration of the rest of the map, it never happens again. And it's not a matter of, okay, well, that was a problem, then they fix it, then something else becomes a problem, and then the original problem rears its head. No. Insomnia, remember, they really do keep a track of everything that's been giving them grief, and they make sure that it only grieves them once.
Yeah. Everybody gets one, right, Peter? Jerky, good performance on the Wolverine, but, I mean, Damon might still be that guy. Might be the best player out of the OC region playing here in EMEA. Dropping 44k damage, going 44 and 7, I believe. And that's with a lost round as well here on Domination. Definitely showing that there are many strings to his bow.
The synergy as well coming through from Insomnia. It really takes a lot of coordination to make sure, if you don't have Magneto in play where it's simply just bubble the Cloak and Dagger mid-Eternal Bond dash, like, it takes a lot. Nocta has to come through with Blessing of the Deep from time to time. Forever has to get the perfect angle of the shield. Even Relaxing Sky coming on through with those insane Guardian shields, which have to go up just before the Meteor M connects with how little HP Guardian shield has. And if Low9 saw it come out preemptively, they would break it preemptively. So a lot of saw coming as Insomnia are going to be removing the Magneto alongside Low 9. So EMEA is going to be able to make it through the pick and bans. Potentially, as Low 9 have the opportunity to go for a save, and they're going to save the Loki. We did talk about it. We touched on it on the first series. Gonski is known for being the Loki lock on ladder.
Yeah, and I mean, like, banning the mag is super important as a first ban here. You're not too worried about the Luna either. Not the Luna, the EMEA. Oh, we're going to go for the early protector of a Wolverine. Okay. Very alpha.
Both teams protecting what they think is their hyper carry for the best player that they believe on the team, as Insomnia are going to be able to grab Demon's Wolverine, which means that Low 9 now can't play Groot. One Vanguard has been removed before it even gets to see a ban.
There's a world where you could like ban Hulk here as well now, because you're kind of worried about going up against the double Hulk team up of both the fastball special and the Gamma Squid. Gamma Monstro was quite perilous for Low 9 to try and deal with last time. Quick ban on the Punisher here, trying to create maybe a Punisher gradient. Oh, I don't know if banning the Atom is that valuable when you haven't quite gotten rid of the Luna yet. So there's always going to be a viable double strategist backline.
Res Comp is actually very, very strong on Central Park as a composition, and you especially don't want to run into it against a defensive Res Comp because they will just stall you out of A, and then that bleeds into the time bank that you have in B, and C is already hard enough to full push as it is the closer you get to that finish line. So I'm not entirely against the Atom. I do, like you say, worry though that we haven't seen the Luna ban come through from Low 9, but as it is, Insomnia haven't really been known for the Luna Psylocke, right? You are much more worried about the Wolverine and the Atom composition that Insomnia have been using with the Wolverine. That's actually had so much value, it's been picked up by other teams.
Cannibal on Wolverine here makes sense. Jerky got a lot of value on that towards the end, and actually got a lot of value going up against the Monster Hulk as well. I do wonder, I'm going to be very interested here to see it. Yes, go on, Pasuo. Let's see the double team up. Oh, baby. You know what, Mark? It's good to be right for once. Play-by-play caster has one brain cell.
Your Vanguard mainness is showing as you're getting excited about seeing the Hulk in the Strange come through. I'm incredibly excited at seeing the Hulk as well. It's really nice. We so rarely get to see it, it feels like, in EMEA, but I feel like with Emma Frost coming into the mix, like, Venom is next to impossible to find value with, as you can try and commit a soft dive coming on through, and you just get immediately yoinked by Carbon Crush. It's like, oh, you were trying to get out, you only wanted to stay here 2 seconds? You're gonna have to burn all of your cooldowns and still probably not leave this fight intact.
I mean, it wasn't so long ago that we saw Hulk be one of the high priority bans alongside Human Torch on our old ban system, you know? We may have seen a cooldown increase for the Gamma Monstro, but it's not really that bad, to be honest. Namor is still an absolute pain to deal with.
And I mean, XL is still such a huge cooldown too, as if you XL a player, they're not even counted as being on the map, so they can't be healed up, and more importantly, they can't contest point. In Season 0, there were a lot of teams that lost point contest because the one player holding it would be exiled.
Oh, there we go. Trying to run in onto a Human Torch. Damon doesn't quite connect there, but still has a secondary. Oh, hello. We're actually seeing some Hella. Not actually that common. We've seen a little bit of it from Nocta and Damon previously, even though she's in a fairly strong state at the moment. Of course, got buffed in the Season 2.5 patch to have a larger clip to try and work with. Jerky doing their best to avoid the leap-ups here from Pasuo, who just keeps going back for healing. Lurkin's able to really sustain that Hulk.
So the Hella's going to be able to match Witch with Nocta, but you also have Soul Drainer, which is CC. If Demon tries to go for a grab, you can potentially Soul Drain them into the position, and that's the passive force because the Wolverine got picked by the Hella E.
Yeah, great Soul Drainer right there. Just stunning the Wolverine before we can get too much done. Jerky taking a little bit of damage. I believe got frozen out there. Blessing of Eve is going to be used by Nox. A good rollout coming through from Damon. We'll be getting back rather quickly. Relaxing Sky able to come on through, and you better believe that that's going to be a fate of both worlds. Once again, decided via dance and party tunes. And it's going to be the same on the other side. Gonski rolls forward. Oh, the damage boost is brutal. Crisis and Wolver are absolutely atomized.
Yeah, Low9 tried to disengage the original burst of Relaxing Sky's ultimate with Regen Domain. And then they tried to come through with the later Fate of Both Worlds copy, but the Regen Domain being out just meant that Nocta got the damage boost and managed to have all of it through the one thing that could have prevented the one shot. And now we're fastballing yet again. Demon is in Pazulo's hands, and they're looking for any angle that they can potentially get onto one of these flyers, as they need to disrupt Jerky and Wolver's ultimates. Can sync up, but only if both of them are up.
Wolver needs to be contained. You've got to try and stun this ultimate. Manages to land it down. Time for the fire tornado to start its reign of terror. Oh, the overwhelming damage. It needs to be answered by the Fate of Both Worlds. For now, the good sustain coming through from the side of Insomnia. They're weathering the storm. Relaxing Sky not so lucky. Oh, and lurking exactly the same. Perhaps exactly what was needed. Just a big investment for some big results. Crisis just was raining down those Nestrond crows from above to make sure that the ticks from those Cyclones could finally find their men.
Oh, Insomnia thought about going for a strange TP root contest, weren't able to find it, and actually Forever has to go back onto the strange now, which resets some of the ult charge that they've been able to pick up. It also means that they're not in position to hold on to B. 109 are already fully pushed up around corner to give Crisis so much room on this Hela.
Oh yeah, just absolutely free farming over here. 10 Night Sword Thorns to play with. Oh, I love how Crisis is kind of prioritizing tracking this Wolverine, so that if there's a big grab, you can really prioritize hitting that Soul Drainer.
Yeah. Nocta is going to have Horn of Proteus, but it's going to be silent for now, as Relaxing Sky is a little bit away from that God of Mischief, and that is going to actually give enough time. The window was there. Low9 find a pick onto Passivo. Last stand comes into play from Demon, but Regen Domain is placed, and the Wolf is able to stand. Unfortunately, though, Regen Domain is now burned, and Crisis burns Demon in return, as Horn of Proteus doesn't find the value it was looking for.
The coordination's just not there for Insomnia right now. Didn't manage to find what they wanted from either of those. Lost out on Damon as well. The ult was too late to save them. Forever might find themselves under the gun right here. Desperately needs some healing. Back up to full HP now. And has an Eye of Agamotto in the back pocket. But will the bag of holding be fumbled on the opening is the question. Wolver's already fallen on down. And that means now Jerky is going to be unable to use their ultimate unless they want to have an unassisted Storm in the future fights.
Yeah, that's going to be the forecast. Falling a little bit silent for now. Cloudy, but no storms coming through just yet, especially given the fact that Demon is off of the Wolverine. They've seen it's been countered by the Hela too adeptly. We go Psylocke so that we can keep up the pressure on the Flyers instead.
Here comes Wolver with the Omega Hurricane. Seems to have managed to hit pay dirt already. 12 seconds of pain away all and sundry. And oh boy, that's so much damage, even through the Fate of Both Worlds.
That's what happens when you empower an Omega level mutant. Low9 absolutely shred and melt the entire line of defense coming on through from Insomnia's side. They are about to get a combo off though. Eye of Agamotto and Horn of Proteus can be used together. No damage boost necessary to make sure that you find the picks, but you do need to have your players lined up correctly. Forever trying to make sure that no staggers come off onto Low9's side, as they've still been able to just push all the way up. And now it's a duel for the angles. Demon's back on the Wolverine to get fastballed into a position so that you don't get taken down before the fight even begins.
It really does feel like even going up against a solo Vanguard has not been that valuable on the side of the Wolverine for now. I believe that Forever actually got a little bit waylaid there by the reforming of the buildings in Dracula's castle. Unfortunate, but it is the reality. Damon forced to disengage for a moment, doesn't want to stay inside that invisible boundary, even while Fate of Both Worlds is going to be singing forward. Gonski, the question is, did they manage to grab Valuna? Looks like they have, and so they're going to have their own Fate of Both Worlds. Relaxing Sky can't even disengage. Crisis on the chase down. Oh, gets an environmental drop-off onto Damon with a Soul Drainer. Somebody screenshot that.
Crisis has been such a pain point for Insomnia to deal with. He's gonna go onto the torch. Everyone thinks that maybe Flyers are able, or rather Hela is able to deal with the Flyer, but in reality, the Flyer tends to just dive them onto the Hela, quite literally. In the case of the torch, Noxa now is gonna take up the mantle of the Psylocke, but this is final fight territory, and that final prison from Jerky is already making it very uncomfortable for Insomnia to hold any form of ground.
Just so difficult to try and hold through this. Damon trying to play a cheeky off angle here. Really wants to punish this Emma Frost. But here we go once again. Jerky's still 2% away from having that Firestorm. And once again, it is going to be yet another buff coming through, constantly upping the duration of the tornado. But they can barely survive the first few seconds of the weather front, let alone the bonuses that are added thereafter by Jerky. Discovering the Loki up top meant nothing in the end. Insomnia gets swept through.
Well, I forecast that there's going to be a hella ban in the near future coming on through from Insomnia's side if they want to make sure that Demon's Wolverine can actually find the value. This was the way that Low9 was able to adapt around Insomnia's incredibly early save. Remember, they prioritized the Wolverine save over all else, and Low9 with a Soul Drainer and a Hella pick from Crisis have dismantled that plan entirely.
I mean, you just present him no targets, right? Hello, wait. Wolver gonna play defensive group. I liked Wolver being the one to pick up the Storm. Great versatility there from one of our excellent Vanguard players in EMEA, but having the Soul Vanguard be the Emma Frost means that there's no good options for the Wolverine. But now Wolver is going to present one in the form of the Groot.
And Crisis is actually off of the Hella onto the Ultron, so that you can provide Imperative Patch, heal pocket over to Jerky, but also have that damage, that eye in the sky to be able to scout out if there is a Wolverine going to be coming on out from the side of Insomnia. Now that Wolverine is on that Groot, they'll be able to see the Wolverine coming. And instead of Soul Drainer putting him in his place, it will just be range damage.
All right. Not going to be a big portal investment straight away. Scouts early. And Nocta, we haven't seen too much of the Nocta side so far, at least in the Ignite matches for Divecast.
There's the Wolf.
Yeah, sees Wolver on Groot. It's like, my moment is now. Password's moment is going to be in about 10 seconds, though, unfortunately, as they get picked off early.
Yeah, Nocta might well be joining him. That's actually going to be a regen domain forced from the hands of Relaxing Sky just to try and mitigate some of these stagger picks coming on through, but it is not enough. They're still able to get Forever and potentially now the Loki as well. No, Divas Exchange is parted and Relaxing Sky will be able to make it through as Demon on this Wolverine has found the pick and is now getting the fastball because they've seen it. Okay, Hella's out, Wolverine's time to play, and we're quite literally playing ball.
Taking him to the sky once Crisis. Oh, Crisis tried to dodge away. I think the Damon may have actually fumbled the right click there. It looked like a grab, but Damon likely saw it a bit better than I did. Out come the regeneration domains. Noctis already forced a massive cooldown just from poking over here, which is not to be underestimated. Forever does not want to stick around. Well, this Carbon Crush is going to be threatening them, coming up very close to the Tire of Agamotto. 90% already walled off from the remainder of the team, and so a little bit of a panic from Insomnia. Relaxing Sky already moves on forward with the copied fate of both worlds. Inside here, oh, the unbreakable barrier. It saves them for a moment longer. Oh, that's 3 stuns straight through from Forever. Damon's able to follow up upon it. The Rage of Ultron now levied from the top, though. Lurkin's the primary target, and the Relaxing Sky is going to be the second. Crisis has evened this one up, and there's no healing remaining now for Insomnia, so they're going to have to get it done with the health they already have.
Yeah, clutch pick, Lurkin going down. Luna had ult. No fate of both worlds. It's put on mute, and Insomnia get muted. All the way back to respawn they have to go now, all the way through the span pressure of a Torch and an Ultron. Crisis is going to be able to build that Rage of Ultron up in absolutely no time at all. As Nocta has his ultimate, Insomnia have no choice but to utilize Fate of both worlds aggressively, but Cherokee now with Supernova gets a free in.
Isolation here onto Saint Tomoto could be punished. The last stand in here could be brutal as well, but at the moment you're just focusing in on the dance of the butterflies. Multiple players dragged into one position. They share out the damage, yeah. They democratize the death, but when it comes to sticking to the world of the living, for now, Wolver's managing to just about hang on via the 170 HP that remains. Can go back to the Loki. Seems like a recontest not going to be on the cards, though. Ratatoska is freed from the grasp of Dracula, and Insomnia moved to second.
Jerky tried to use Supernova in that fight as well, so now Low9 don't have it for this next fight, which means that we don't have anything really good to combo off of either Strangling Prison or Psionic Seduction. It's going to be Rage of Ultron, but that does so little damage in comparison to the heat that Torch can bring. Insomnia still, though, don't have the distance. They haven't got Demon or Nocta directly on top of one of Low9's players. That means we've got Poke and a fastball to avoid.
Oh, big grab there onto Jerky. However, the peel comes through from Pineclone. Great use of the force physics. And now Damon gets mind controlled in their own right. Still the follow-up not going to be there. A carbon crush onto Forever could be everything. Gonski forced to pop out. The fate of both worlds. Towards the back, dropping off the bridge. 3-player stun. Crisis, Pineclone, and Wolver all forced to watch helplessly as it's Crisis who's the first to fall. But Lurkin on the other side has been traded out of the invisible boundary and into the fire. Damon delivers off the back of a last stand.
Oh, that was such a good last stand too. Pinning them against the cart so that potentially they had to jump over that to just enter back into the invis boundary. Coming on through from Low9's back line. And they'll be able to find the picks off of the back of that one. Nox has also got Dance of the Butterflies, which means that Low9 are going to be forced to stack. But that means that they stack directly into this Wolverine. Just getting to play around the corner and get fastballing in yet again.
Taking the skies, Jerky playing a very reserved position once again. It's Pineclone. Oh, but that means they don't have the force physics to try and help out Wolver here. So instead, it's going to be the regeneration domain used over by Gonski to try and keep that Groot in play for now. Just a rear guard coming through from all of the damage of a Human Torch and Crisis. Now it's his moment to shine. The Rage of Ultron is putting out a good amount of damage, but instead it's going to be focusing on survivability. Forever tries to intercede on the behalf of their team. Relaxing Sky taken out in the back. And finally, Nocta manages to deliver on the... Oh my goodness, exactly where they spawned. Wolver saw it coming, but the unbreakable guard, the indestructible play from the Hulk was all they needed. Crisis needs to be taken off of this zone. It's so risky for Forever. That's going to be the stun. Exactly what was needed. Two strategists. Their souls are purged by the Sorcerer Supreme. And Insomnia GG, you have 3 minutes for third.
Yeah, really good unbreakable bubble as well coming out from Paso just to guarantee that Forever's able to hold that position off of that Eye of Agamotto and come on through with the Maelstrom of Madness. All of the damage follow-up that you need. No duelists required. As Demon now actually goes over towards the Hela, they know that this Wolverine has been hard counted yet again by Low9, this time with the force physics coming on through from Pineclone. So it's going to be up to the Hela to try and find any opening pick that Insomnia don't have to put with an ultimate to keep the momentum on their side.
Okay, already the buildings have reformed, forming the drawbridge through which they must travel. And fighting up this incline is not very easy to do. You can see already there's a critical mark in the back. I believe that was Nocta losing out to Crisis in the duel. And Paso is down as well.
Yeah, regen domain has been invested. Insomnia need to lose this fight and fast. They can't afford to get staggered. They've only got 2 minutes left, and that can very quickly fall apart into a matter of milliseconds. On point C, as Low9 are going to make this fight loss painfully slow to deal with.
Oh yeah, just burning that time bank. 20 seconds, I'll have the larger one. I think that it's probably physically impossible for Insomnia to get a faster cap at this point.
Pineclone's going to have force physics up again. Forever's going to have to really keep a track of that cooldown to make sure that this Eye of Agamotto is going to find the value. That Apostle just bubbles them all in and plays havoc in the backline.
Oh, the damage could be brutal here. Momentarily mind control. Damon does not want to fall to the same fate. And Paso is down to a puny banner form once again. Crisis waiting to drop on in with exactly what's needed. Here we go. The fire tornado. The overwhelming force that is levied by Low9 lays Insomnia low. And while they may be Insomniacs, they've been put to bed good and proper.
Saint Amoto was able as well to spot a kip Forever off of that map over on the left side, so no Eye of Agamotto punishing Low9's players from stacking. Eye of Agamotto, though, has only been delayed. It's not been dealt with. And Pineclone, again, is going to have to come through with that force physics, given the fact that Low9 invested both of their strategist ultimates in the fight before, as what a read! Crisis is able to find Nocta even through stealth.
And the advantage of having that psionic projection as well cannot be understated. This is what happens when you manage to save the Emma Frost in your ban phase. A little bit overwhelming here for Saintomoto. Force out the regen domains in order to make sure that Emma Frost does get the care and respect that they deserve. But still, in the back pocket, you're worried about this ultimate from Crisis. Great force physics. Oh, Pineclone gets it done textbook style. One less player down on the ground now, though, means that you can get even more off the back of this. Whoa! Damon with the mid-airs onto Jerky is looking nasty with it right now. One last chance for Low 9. Overload Crisis lost their ultimate. Oh, that could be ruinous. And now Razatoska is just lazily rolling on through portals to try and shut down the exits. Jerky's made it in. It shouldn't be too hard to try and break through him with the dance of the butterflies. In overtime, Insomnia get it done.
It's close. It is close. Insomnia, it took a while for them to figure out a strategy, given the fact that the Wolverine was fully thwarted by Low 9 coming on through with things like the Hela, and then also just resorting to a solo Vanguard, so that the Wolverine had so little options to choose from. And then even then, Pineclone with the force physics making sure that the flyers were kept nice and safe, secure up in that sky. But Insomnia are able to full push. Overtime though, so not a whole lot of time in the bank for this team, and it did take them a painful amount of time to secure A in comparison to Low 9.
This is a nice
Yeah, we took their time with that one. Really had to cook it up. I'll just get other changes early on here. Currently hovering a bunch of Vanguards, but
30 seconds before you
attack a spawn, so I don't trust it. It's not real. I do not see it.
This is where you're really thankful that you banned out the Adam. I will say, like, Adam in fights like these, where you just have immediate access to Soul Bond and a full just self-revive, is crazy in that brawl phase. Yeah, I think Password's just going to be on the thing originally to throw Demon in to the fight.
And then
swapsies over to a more viable option as well. You can't throw past the Strange Portal. That's going to be a whole 10 seconds that Wolf has been able to secure for his team. 10 seconds that Insomnia don't have access to a single bit of damage. So no ultimates built up either from taking damage or generating.
All right, yep, that's a third of a time bank gone. Fun.
If you're Insomnia, how do you deal with this? Well, they think that the answer is going to be outward sustainability. Demon, it's not on the Wolverine, he's on the Ultron. Potentially trying to take Jerky out of the sky, but the Pyro Prison's just making it really rough for Forever to take an approach. And Insomnia still have not been able to find a single bit of space.
Oh, this backline pathway really is taxing them. Wolf has already been caught. It's so difficult to try and get away from that floating Doctor Strange if you don't have many mobility options here. As the Storm, regeneration domain from Loki's already been burned. Noctis sees the last crystal go on down, so they just burn through these doppelgangers. That's going to be a second tick granted. This is already a great win condition for the side of Insomnia. Do Low 9 want to come in? They're already going to give this one up. It's going to be all about playing for second now.
You can't take a fight against a Captain America in a small hallway, but you can take a fight against a Captain America in the open when there's no team to help him. Passero is already down, and it's going to be an early God of Mischief from Gonski. Aggressive Fate of both worlds so they can take the hit onto Forever before Agamotto gets built.
Oh, Gonski just managed to do so much. Getting that early Fate of both worlds from the God of Mischief is so strong. Damon just going to be taken down amidst all of this. What performance here from the Low 9 backline. Gonski and Pineclone just have supremacy in ult generation, because even while Low 9 were losing, they really were milking that healing.
Yeah, I mean, the regen domain was doing so much work, and then you also have to remember there was a Captain America in the backline, but there was no Psylocke follow-up with the Captain America. So all Password was actually doing was generating Gonski and Pineclone ultimate charge that they then get to utilize aggressively when Insomnia have players split, players who have to stay on the payload so that they don't just lose to overtime burning out. And that's exactly what Low 9 were playing for, the fact that they were running the Storm and the Torch. They either play for an ult fight and win with the Firestorm combo, or they just out-sustain with the triple strategists.
All right, looks like once again, gonna see Wolver and Jerky just going for that one and done. I mean, why not? The Firestorm has been just so valuable so far. The Flaming Hurricane, yet to see a good answer for Insomnia. And I don't know if they're Like, maybe you could try and help with Damon's ultimate. You can try and burst through the storm herself using the Rage of Ultron, as its damage output is considerable.
But it's no final judgment from a Punisher.
It
and
is no
also,
final judgment.
it's one-sided storm at the moment, which means that the second that Goddess boost comes out from Low9's side, they get a huge spike in terms of power that they can deal with.
1. You have to stop them from securing the mission area.
Makes sense to me.
Nocta needs to keep these flyers out of the mix. Demon as well needs to be able to make sure that everyone is healed up through it, as Crisis is actually going to go over to the Hela. They've seen that Demon's on the Ultron, and they want the hit scan to put pressure on him.
Yeah, they've seen enough already. Jerky falling low. Demon has to be very careful, rotating around this high ground. Does have the Luna care at the moment from that Idolora.
Demon already 50% to that first Rage of Ultron. Should be able to hit the ultimates far faster than Low9, given that Ultron released later in the year, so didn't get hit by the energy spike rate that all of the strategists went through, as Noctis is trying to build up this Dance of the Butterflies as quickly as possible.
Going on to Gonski, force out the regen domain. That's a big thing to grab early. Jerky, though, shuts down Nocta, and that's a big opening now. You can see that Wolver's falling super low. Desperate for it is Forever, but just has to raise up their shield and dive back down into the regen domain that waited below.
Pinecone's gonna have his boundary. Damon tries to just stop the momentum, but he's going lower and lower. The self-heal ability to Ultron is not the same as it is to his allies, and Jerky is able to take the Ultron out.
All right, rolling forward now. A new Fate of Both Worlds just dropped, babe. And still, it's going to be the Eye of Agamotto. They're waiting for that final call to try and move on forward. And ideally, you could try and stun Wolver out of their ultimate. Jerky's still 30% away from the Firestorm. If you can try and stagger them somehow, that could be everything. But you can always copy Jerky here. Oh, no, that won't be the answer, as of course, Gonski's already used their ultimate. Wolver needs to play it safe, just allowing Jerky to do it aggressively with 30 seconds remaining. They know their win condition. You just cannot lose Wolver.
Nocta also needs to be kept under eyes. Dance of the Butterflies can come on through and immediately take these flyers out. They want to get the torch low so they can both send it onto Jerky.
It's perfect. Jerky's going to take so long to go on back. Forever just raises the shield, and yeah, the damage is going to be there. But maybe now there's a chance to try and TP back, as it was Forever who fell through all of this. You're still going to have to deal with the Firestorm.
I mean, Crisis, though, can just use Goddess of Death to avoid the Eye of Agamotto coming on through, but then that does mean one body less for the Psylocke ult to be able to soak Supernova. Starts immediately in this boundary 2 from Low9, gets the slow onto so many players from Insomnia. They anticipated the Dance of the Butterflies, and now it's sustain for sustain.
Nothing gained from the Eye of Agamotto, blocked out there likely by the Aegis of the EMEA. Crisis doesn't have an LOS onto this. The Passport is already fallen on down. Damon needs to pump out so much damage right now. The Fate of Ultron, the anger that is brought to the fore here from the Robotic Overlord is put to bed by Crisis. Anger management in a box brought through from the Hela as she expands her kingdom, and Low9 clutch out off the back of that Hela pivot.
What a play coming on through. Gonski as well being able to build up the God of Mischief and actually complete the animation of copying the Invis woman, getting another Invis boundary onto that objective after all of the sustainability options have been exhausted from the side of Insomnia. But this is such a close series between the two. They've done so much homework on each other to make sure that, okay, if they run the Wolverine, we can pivot into this. If they try and play off of the Wolverine, we can pivot into this. But likewise, so too have Insomnia done their homework. If the Wolverine doesn't work out, then we can put Demon onto something like the Ultron or potentially the Punisher if it doesn't get banned out. Like, we've seen so much versatility from all of these players on all of the teams.
I mean, Sainamoto Glaze Hours, the ability to shut down an Eye of Agamotto completely against a team that like, you only have one Vanguard on the team. The Guardian Shield's available too, but unlikely to be the main way to try and shut that one down. And we saw that Forever could not be knocked back because they pushed themselves up against Ratatoska. So it was not going to be down to the Invisible Woman of Pineclone to shut that one down. Just must have been a shield placement of all time. The shield placement of all time from Sainamoto.
Yeah, Saint-Tomoto very much impressing on the Vanguard, placing Emma's shield, especially in moments of panic, very hard to be able to do if you misclick it once as well. You can't just pull it back and put it somewhere else. There is a cooldown attached to it, as it really did feel like a back and forth. Demon originally was getting some value on the Wolverine, but the Soul Drain is coming in through from Crisis very quickly put a stop to the shenanigans, but a lot of the time we don't really see Hela used in that vein to put a shutdown to the wolf. But I love the adaptation of just, we've got Soul Drainer, we can use it very similarly to Force Physics against things that dive into
way. And Crisis, I think, has more pivots when you try and ban out the Hela, although it has been a real pain to deal with that Soul Drainer. It's just, oh, okay, once again, we are going to be making sure that Gonski cannot get access to the Hela. The Hela of a Loki, the other Asgardian.
Yeah, no God of Mischief this time around. Yeah, Insomnia, I'm not surprised that they don't prioritize the Wolverine save this time around. It's going to be the Emma Frost instead, as it is going to be a Racco that they decide to take instead. This is one of Wolf's best maps, but I think with how we've seen Low 9 really be prepared for the counter Wolverine strategies, Insomnia are going to be steering very clear of having Demon roll out in the Canadian.
Yeah. However, Wolver is going to be returning to the Magneto, all things considered. Okay. Insomnia are going to ban out Crisis. I mean, I'd be scared of Crisis on the Punisher myself. I guess they're going to leave that Hela open potentially, but don't want to go up against Loki Luna, I imagine. Although I think that Luna was left open last time. There's going to be a counter ban onto Wolverine just to try and constrain Damon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised though that they go for Demon. I mean, although we did state Araco is one of Wolf's best maps, it is hard for the Hela to find fights against the Wolf on this one too, because he can literally just grab you off of verticality a lot of the time and be around the corner, lurking menacingly for your Vanguards who have no idea that he's there until it's too late.
Okay, so here's where Insomnia GG can pull a pro gamer move and protect Punisher. And have an unfair Punisher gradient. Question is, what do you want to ban for? Yeah, Human Torch, get rid of that. Yeah, that makes sense. You don't want to deal with any more of those potential Firestorm shenanigans.
There's a lot of one-way angles on Araco as well, where you can just fly above the door frame and deal damage without the other team being able to see you. As I do like the fact that Insomnia actually went for the save on the Atom, but this does leave, this does leave the Punisher viable as a ban still on the side of Low 9, so Punisher doesn't make it through for either side.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, how many times do I have to see the Adam Warlock succeed before I stop being an Adam Warlock hater is the question. Many times, I suppose. I still feel like the Adam Warlock constantly requires pivoting off, but now we're going to transition into potentially a full res comp here from the side of Insomnia.
Without Mag, though. Which is going to make it a little bit harder for the Star-Lord to be able to find that level of value, as you're not going to be fully safe when you go into your Blaster Barrage to instantly build up your ultimate as quickly as you can, as it is the Stellar Shift, the right click on the Star-Lord that is afforded iframes, not the AoE hit of his E.
Alright, Araco, this is a place where some of our legacy teams may not have had as many hours scrimming. Just down to how long it's been in the game. It was introduced in Season 2.5 alongside Ultron. And, well, VP do love this map. Defensively on first, we see that Zero Tenacity are also, like, big fans of this one. I would not be discouraged if I saw a team get held on second, as first is incredibly defensible.
Yes, we do see a lot of spawn hold compositions coming on through, as Jerky is on that defensive Wolverine, just playing around those corners, waiting for Insomnia to walk into them. But Insomnia have knocked around the Squirrel Girl, which is something that a lot of teams have actually done in case this was a triple Vanguard spawn hold coming through from Low 9. They would literally just have damage boosted the Squirrel Girl and just use the ricochet off the primary. to send Low9 off of the high ground and onto the low.
Yeah. Having to give up that high ground can be a little bit ruinous. Jerky for now, oh, he's catching poke from every angle. Already loses that regenerative healing factor and has to disengage away from this one. Crisis once again is just going to be pouring damage out, but Saintamoto does not have all of the help that was needed on that angle. The remainder of Low9 backed off, and I don't think Saintamoto got the message, couldn't get to a teleporter in time to disengage. Damon getting his constant damage boost. I was worried about the output, but you know what? Damon's got that aim. Used to be a bit of a hella player. Got the hit scan in him. Does also got that Wolverine in him from behind. Should be able to disengage though.
Yeah, the iframe off of the Cellar Shift actually allows Damon to just fully regroup with his team. He's also got that idle aura, so every single time that Loken kills a Vanguard, 35% is attributed over to that Star-Lord. And speaking about percentages, 100% of Galactic Legend has been bought up, and Wolver does not have Near M. It's Eternal Bond instead from Gonski, so that Low9 can hold that space.
Yeah, with the Eternal Bond down though, could be troublesome later on. Although, admittedly, there aren't really that many big offensive ultimates for Insomnia are going to have to bring forth against Low9. Instead, they're going to be much more about the control and the survivability. Speaking of control, that's going to be the Sonic Seduction already coming on out forever. Super low. And it's Pinecone just making it happen with a shift there. The Sonic Vortex. Uh-oh. Welcome to the jungle, boys and girls. It's going to be reset after reset here off the back of those resurrections. Of course, Crisis just going to try and hold on to this reset for as long as possible, knowing that everyone is getting that additional HP. Soul Bond should be reasonably easy to try and survive through the Meteor M into the back now. Pinecone under siege. Pasiwo finally has found the soft, juicy underbelly. And, well, that's where it sinks in his claws and gets some real value. Yet another Eternal Bond coming through. Gonski can be shut down here.
Crisis is going to be able to TP everyone from Low9 back into this fight, though, and that Eternal Bond's still up.
Coming back through. A brand new shield to try and deal with. A Sonic Seduction in the air, floating down gracefully. Luckily, there's a little bit of cover to try and work with Pineclone once again. It's just having in and out of the spawn. Unfortunately, Pineclone's having an absolute mare of it today. A big grab coming through from the Wolverine, but Pasiwo, what value out of a Captain America right now. He can do this all day.
I mean, Demon as well gets so much value just from the terrain, the map geometry, just affording so many spaces for the Star to be able to hide and hold over after Low9 try and go for that teleport recontest. Now it's going to be on cooldown though. Crisis now moves back over towards that Hela. Could potentially utilize those Soul Drainers to grab Demon back after the iframes have been burned. As Demon sees it and decides that he's just going to play on off angle and look at the Vanguards instead.
Yep, just try and farm that Galactic Legend off of the Vanguards. Use to shut down Gonski later. Admittedly, Pineclone is getting very close to that invisible boundary.
Wolver is building the Meteor M, but if you try and use it in reaction to that Galactic Legend, you don't have it to try and one-shot one of these strategists. Coming on for Soul Bond aggressively sends the Star-Lord entirely into Low9's team, and that's an immediate reaction in this boundary.
Oh, the Rage of Ultron. They sent Relaxing Sky elsewhere. Just going to have to try and live off the back of self-inspiration. Natural anger from the Mantis. Oh, they're all behind the pillar. And that means it's going to be very hard to try and escape from this. The Meteor M must have been thrown elsewhere there by Wolver. It did not impact onto Damon. However, now in the back has full HP once again after picking that one up. Uh-oh. Has to move away from the incoming Destrond Crows being thrown from on high. Crisis' ult finally over. And it's going to be Sonic Seduction coming over from the other side. Nocta has had a couple of resurrections. Pasiwo just giving everybody the additional HP off the back of that Freedom Charge. It's all about sustainability here for Insomnia GG. And now Low9, they've used most of their resources. They're going to be running on fumes and mechanics. But guess what? A fully charged Emma can do so much damage in the midst of all.
Rage of Ultron.
Oh, the Rage of Ultron is coming up so fast. Jake's going to have a second one in this fight. This could be overwhelming for forever. The Aegis does not last long against the amount of damage that's being brought on through right now, and Nocta is overwhelmed.
Yeah, Low9 have a composition that has been able to keep up with the endless raw potential of the res comp. This Rage of Ultron comes up so incredibly quickly, and with how stacked all of these players are, it is incredibly dangerous at damaging enemies and healing allies. And Insomnia just have to bend the knee and full reset. They're going to be able to open up this fight with a Sonic Seduction, but Pineclone has the ultimate invis boundary to be able to heal everyone else from Low9 through it. Does mean that Demon could potentially come through with a free Galactic Legend afterwards, but if you wait for that, you also potentially run the risk of Meteor Amp coming up for Wolver.
So Bond already used here. It's going to be a sustainability option that isn't on the table now. Gonski has already used the Eternal Bond, so Insomnia GG kept at bay with 53 seconds remaining. I love this pivot onto the triple support, knowing that Insomnia, they just don't have the damage to try and break through the raw healing that is available.
And Crisis on this Hela has pick potential outside of ults. There goes Psionic Seduction coming in through from both sides, but Insomnia have the lead in terms of sustain. Maybe they finally got the damage to burst the triple strategist down with the 40% from Fate of Vocals, but no! Low Knight with another Rage of Ultron Persevere!
All right, Jerky putting down so much healing here, just trying to keep Pine Clone in the midst of all of it. Yet another rebirth coming through from Nocta. However, are you going to be in range of the Hellas Nostron Crows? They can do so much damage to those weakened players. Oh, the Terror Cape. It left Hasuo blind for a second, but getting up close and personal, still could feel out where these strategists were. And it's just being an absolute nightmare in the backline. How do you deal with this one? Speed boost, extra health, all as the Soul Resurgence rolls on through. And still, the Flora Colossus is moving forward. Gonski has built up the Eternal Bond when it was needed the most, and now Crisis feels emboldened to roll on forward and just sword down, stabbing into the hearts of Insomnia. They want the Ultron, but there's no follow-up onto the Ultron. Forever just gonna have to wait elsewhere. The Rage of Ultron once more will be known as the anguished yells echo over the plains of Morocco. Hell's heart stab at thee, Damon, and you cannot stand up to the danger that Crisis brings.
That was a full-on exorcism from Low 9. They've finally been able to deal with the demon that is Insomnia. I just need you all to understand, by the way, that was Invis Boundary and Rage of Ultron both charged up in the space of an entire Eternal Bond. Coming on through from Gonski. I mean, Invis primary does have Pierce. All of those players are stacked on top of each other, and Ultron is healing everybody too with the AoE effect of Imperative Patch. But to see both strategists rebuild their ultimates that quickly in a fight, just taking full advantage of how cramped that space truly is insane. They find a comp, Harry, which I can't believe I'm saying this, has more long-term sustain than res comp.
30 seconds before you attack.
I mean, the problem is it really feels like the res comp is a little bit toothless at the moment.
Yeah.
They're just doing no damage, really. Like, Forever, second most damage on the EMEA, of course. Have a quick look at the stats here. Yeah, Damon's pushing out the damage. But it's not that bursty.
Yeah.
0 final blows, by the way. It's mostly just aesthetic damage. It's kind of just feeding strategist ultimates at the moment.
It's Nocta either comes on through and one-clips someone as Adam, or potentially you get a pick from a Galactic Legend before it gets absorbed either by Wolver's Meteor Amp or just the triple strategists who heal everybody up through it. Insomnia, regardless, are going to be keeping both the Mantis and the Adam. Lurkin's going to be over on the Cloak and Dagger for the Terror Cape, and I do like the changeover. They've seen, like you, Starlord didn't have the pick potential. They're going to go for the Torch instead.
Okay, more excess damage, but a little bit more potential to find those final blows off the back of some devious dives. Jerky is not going to lose their passive off the back of this, thankfully, but Wolf is just getting continuously harassed by Damon. Still, this is where the res comp can really try and get its legs under it. Like you said, sustainability, it's a lot more valuable on the defense when you just want to stay in place during the midst of all this. Jerky, a big grab onto the Human Torch could be everything. The Soul Bond is going to make sure that it's easy to survive for the Vanguards, even faced with the Berserk phase Wolverine.
Yeah, but that Soul Bond now on cooldown. Lurkin's gonna have Eternal Bond, but Crisis on the Winter Soldier can hook him out of the AoE of his ultimate. As I think someone almost went over the map. In fact, yeah, it is indeed. Pineclone gets just sent packing thanks to the kick coming on through from Saint Tomoto's shoe.
All right, Jerky choosing to disengage here. My work is done, so I will be leaving. And seeing that Eternal Bond, we're like, yep, well, we're good.
Nocta should be able to get Soul Bond back online, though. And as long as they're stacked, they will be able to mitigate the Winter Soldier's Kraken impact, but that leaves them vulnerable to the last stand, especially fed up with Saint Tomoto's ultimate, which they're going to use to open up no access two abilities, no soul bond. Insomnia are denied and deprived of a potential point A hold.
Oh, Nocta's still got a self-res here. I don't think they're going to try and invest it, though. Oh, Pasuo caught on the journey in. If they started contesting, maybe Nocta thinks better of that one, but this has been brutal so far.
Nocta can't invest the self-revive now because you actually still revive people through Karmic Revival if you've gone down, but you have your self-revive state available. So they need to keep it for when Karmic Revival's in play, and he just wasn't in a position to set it up.
Crisis just pushing out so much damage here. You've really got to worry about the resets onto those low HP Resurrection members when you're going with a Karmic Revival instrument like a Kraken Impact.
Especially because Gonski's going to have Eternal Bond. If Lowline really want to get aggressive, they can absolutely invade the space of that Karmic Revival and apply Eternal Bond. It doesn't do all that much damage, but 30 damage per second is still plenty. A Supernova is going to shut down the space that Crisis can see. They know that Kraken Impact's on board, and they don't want to deal with it.
Oh, what a triple fist from Crisis. Just identifies the target of Damon. It's going to get mind controlled here. Don't know if the follow-up's really going to be there, though. With that primary damage dealer down in the form of the Human Torch. Pasuo is getting aggressive. It's a good Terror Cape coming forward onto the group. Allows for an easy follow-up. And now you've managed to find the hostage of Gonski. Finally, some stability.
That's the split too. Strangling Prison was utilized in the fray. Crisis wasn't able to find the angle nor the space for the Kraken Impact follow through. Although Nocta did get Karmic Revival forced as well, as Demon now off of the torch goes on to the Bucky themselves. The Wolverine and the group both being good targets for that Bionic Hook.
Any of them grabbed could prove fatal. You can hear it already being charged up there by Nocta. No one wants to get one out to my little 5 here from the right click. Invisible Boundary already used. That isolates the Emma Frost. Has to use her Carbon Crush simply to escape. And the same for Pasuo. They have to give up the space. But now Low 9, they are in one fight territory at this moment. The Carling Aura takes down Nocta. Don't know if there's going to be a quick reset coming on through. Falling Skies trying their best not to fall in their own right. Jerky doesn't get anything off the back of that Berserk, though. Damon comes back on the Winter Soldier. Already has built themselves up an ultimate, but Jerky says, nah, that's our hero, mate. That's not for you. Saintamoto falling absolutely supreme.
Saintamoto just getting an absolute field day with how close all of these walls are for the guaranteed damage onto that kick. And Crisis now is just looking to grab people out of being able to contest as a portal comes down from Demon. Forever does have Psionic Seduction, but one's already been grabbed by the Wolverine.
Perfect pick onto Gonski. All the healing is down at this point. They are just staggering Jerky. We'll give over a little bit of extra ultimate charge. Admittedly, the last stand's already good to go. Low 9 now have a minute to try and roll through this, but Insomnia, they're all out of second chances. There's no more portal.
No more portal, but they do still have the second chance provided by Karmic Revival. The problem is that if they're all being resurrected off of point, Low 9 can just put 3 players on objective and get it immediately.
Needed a little boost. Thanks.
That's a worry that's going to need to be addressed. The last stand can force the positioning here of Insomnia, and you can see that they're already giving the Wolverine all the respect that he deserves. Sonic Seduction already used. You want to try and grab Jerky here. Disengagement comes on through, but everyone's inside of that invisible boundary, and so the follow-up's not going to be there for all of those who were seduced by the Emma Frost in the midst of all of the damage that was brought forth. Relaxing Sky with the Soul Resurgence. Speed boosts everybody forward, saying, hey, you know, you don't have a disengagement option right now, so we're going to roll straight into you. Even more is brought on forward. This is so much from Insomnia, and if they're shut down now by a Strangling Prism, that could be everything. Crisis takes out their counterpart in Damon, instantly resurrected by Nocta, and Crisis cannot find a reset off the back of this one. The Eternal Bond freed from behind the Ironwood wall of the Groot. Sustainability is going to be so hard to achieve here for the side of Insomnia, but for Low 9 it's not an issue at all. A Bionic Hook goes wide, in the midst of all of this. Yet another Sonic Seduction. Fro's been doing so much damage, really wants to find the Winter Soldier, and while they were hiding away, Lurker managed to get exactly what they needed off the back of the play. Pasuo just doing their best to survive against all of this. A big kick into a wall. The healing's there. Jerky's found Nocta and Relaxing Sky. All they've got remaining, it's yet another self-resurrection. They've got so so many ways of trying to sustain themselves, and the Freedom Charge is the last that's in the bowl. And still, Relaxing Sky is going to be able to push out so much healing. Damon, frag after frag, potentially shuts down Wolver. There's only a little bit remaining. The Eye of Agamotto gets 2. Forever is going to be taken down of a last juncture crisis with Trio when it comes to the final hits. And here's the Dance Macabre, the last note that's sung. Low 9 pull away on the map choice of Insomnia.
Low 9, take a bow. Jerky gets to come on through with the strange swap for the teleport, which is barred. Huge plays coming on out, building that Eye of Agamotto, and it almost looks like it's going the other way. We've got Freedom Charge, we've got Soul Resurgence, Demons, Kraken Infectors sounding off in the distance. He's even getting to utilize the CC immunity attached to the reset jump to dodge out of the Eye of Agamotto coming through from Jerky. But the same is not applied to his 2 teammates. And finally, Low 9 are able to finish off the fight. But oh my goodness, for both of those teams to be able to keep it coordinated for as long as it did, especially given the fact that Low 9, as we've talked about continuously, was a team that was put together at the last possible minute. It is a huge bow of applause that they should be accepting to be able to continue that overtime as long as they did without losing track of focus.
Unreal. And well, now match point for Low 9. They could knock out Insomnia. I mean, all of us predicted that Insomnia would be winning this one. The stonks were high, Mox. Coming out of our group stage, we thought that Insomnia could be this dark horse that had this explosive DPS in Damon. But I've got my doubts about the Adam comp, I'm not gonna lie. I really think that they need to pivot into this Punisher.
Yeah, I really want to see the Punisher protection coming. Low 9 have been shutting down the Wolverine.
All right, pro gamer maneuver right there. Taking away the Loki and securing it for themselves. Gonski has been having a real impact on that Loki. And mixed results for the first ban when it comes to Insomnia and their ban phase here. Just making sure that Wolver does not have access to the Magneto, I think, is a good play. And they are going to make sure there's no Loki Luna. We've had enough of that meta backline.
Yeah, the Magneto coming out means that the Cloak and Dagger is going to get much easier to maneuver successfully around the Eternal Bond. And ooh, Low 9. They've dealt with the Wolverine, but potentially they don't want to deal with it at all if they decide to ban it out. As Insomnia, it feels like, oh, no, they pivoted.
You know, I think that's actually an assist. Me and Adam Warlock hater, thank you.
Well, Insomnia are apparently Punisher haters, as Low 9 are not going to be able to protect Punisher before that one gets banned out. They'll be able to grab up the EMEA, though, and Wolverine still being up for grabs for Insomnia does mean that EMEA having Diamond Form and being able to dodge out of it entirely is definitely going to be helpful to aid Low 9's push into Insomnia's favorite home grounds.
Wouldn't mind seeing either a Torch or a Cloak and Dagger ban here. On the side of Insomnia. I think the Torch does have a pretty good time on this map. The last Protect, surely Punisher this time.
Yeah,
surely
I think we both want to see that Punisher come in. You have to be anticipating
on, bro.
that Wolver's going to be pivoting to the Groot. There we go. Okay. It was teased. I worried that it would swap off into something else, but no, the Punisher protection does make it out, which means the Demon's going to be able to play that one. They do have the Wolverine to pivot to if they really want to, but I feel like the Punisher is just going to be able to find so much more value across the board.
Maybe you ban the Wolverine here anyway, because your count... Oh, okay, yeah, getting rid of the Luna. I forgot that one made it through for now.
Yeah, 40% damage boost unmatched.
This
definitely
could
a
be
risk.
dangerous though, because now their Wolverine answer is no longer on the table. They can't roll through.
Invis. Pine Clone is very much an Invis main.
True. Pine Clone's actually been playing out of their mind in this series, it's worth noting. Pine Clone's kind of been the big backbone for Low 9, and the old generation has been crazy from them. Although I do worry that without the Flame Tornado of the Storm, maybe winning fights against like the double Hulk team up could be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, I feel like that's also why we saw them go for the target ban of the Torch, not just because he's a very strong duelist in their own right, but if they do want to run Demon onto that Wolverine, they want to make sure that Pineclone's Invis Woman is not giving more aid to a duelist while also counterplaying your own.
Yeah. And that's another reason why the Human Torch ban is so good here as well. Just denies a little bit of free value from the Pineclone Invisible Woman, given that they have been so successful thus far already. I don't know if Noctis is going to be staying on the Storm. We've seen quite a bit of Storm play from Noctis so far, and it has been a fairly popular composition.
So this is a strategy attacking teams do, where they portal onto someone, and then you have just like a Storm and a Moon Knight damage boost.
Damage boost.
And you literally just find one person and just take the fight through the portal with all of the damage burst against the team that has nothing at the beginning this early.
Pineclone staying invisible for now. Remainder of the team just going to be pushing out a bunch of fire. And yeah, that's going to be Forever taking the portal. Just going to start already gaining territory on this. And the Invisible Woman has joined them. Being very careful of the time. Good, everyone's going to make it through from Insomnia onto a point right now. But this is when Lone Nine are really going to start showing themselves, already having burned the regeneration domain coming through from Gonski, halfway to that God of Mischief already, by the way. Putting out a bunch of healing as we've known Gonski to do, but that's 2 ticks gained already. And with Crisis down, touching it is going to be an issue. Jerky's going to have to make it work. Still has that passive in the back, almost has their Feral Elite back, but Damon's just gunning him down on the Punisher. You know what, Moxie? Sometimes we do have a grasp on this draft.
And Insomnia have a grasp, a very solid grasp of how to play Symbiotic Surface. Even though Gonski was getting so much healing on that Loki, it was Wolver on the Doctor Strange having to walk onto point directly into Passo's POV, and that means Carbon Crush, damage for Strange Shield, and no more Doctor Strange. As Lone Nine also lose control of the high ground of B. Jerky's going to actually swap off of the Wolverine over onto that Ultron, so they're going to try and go for the triple strategist lineup that they had previously, which found so much value.
Crisis probing at the back line for now, but that means Wolver doesn't have too much help to try and get the Punisher off of their shield, losing a lot of HP over there. Moving forward with the Eternal Bond, Lone Nine decides to take initiative into their own hands. Gonski has to be careful though, not to be taken out too early. If you extend into that Punisher, the shotgun can be a real pain to deal with. And Insomnia, well, we looked at this and we said, okay, we're just gonna wait.
Yeah, they're gonna wait, and then they're gonna come back with ultimates of their own. They've got an Eternal Bond. They can ferry that Punisher in safely off of the back of it, or they can just go in with the Omega Hurricane. Looks like Final Judgment is the call of choice into the Invis boundary. They invade, but it's Demon that goes down instead.
Great target focus, even through the Eternal Bond. The Rage of Ultron, the knockback. Again, plenty. Good job there from Pineclone, shutting down Forever's engage. And now it's Wolver's turn as well. However, ultimate suppressed. Nocta can't be grabbed out of their own ultimate as well. So it's going to be the Storm of a Century in the backline. The Omega Hurricane gets a little bit of value, taking down Pineclone. You've got to worry about those respawners. They're going to find themselves an isolated Storm over there. Meanwhile, Gonski just has the output of the gods. The God of Mischief just gets so much done with 2 doppelgangers up.
Demon is off of the Punisher onto the Wolverine this time around. We'll see how much time it's going to stick around for, though, as Passoir swaps over to the Hulk, Nocta over to the Namor, so they can take value of having both the team up for the Wolverine and the Namor, as well as utilizing the Namor to try and put pressure onto both Jerky and Crisis. So it definitely feels like Demon is going to be looking at taking Jerky out of the skies on the grab.
That would be ideal. Crisis, for now, just holding up above, just going to do the homework on the Gamma Monstro. Of course, if they do go into a berserk state, they can be very troublesome to deal with. Crisis actually gets grabbed. Yet another excellent force physics coming through from Pineclone. It's been a lights out game for the Invisible Woman today, and well, there's the coup de grace as well coming through. The Carbon Crush on to Damon thereafter.
Yeah, the lack of heal per second in Invis Boundary is made up for more than adequately with just the toolkit that the Invis Woman has access to off of her cooldowns. Force physics is one of the most frustrating things for Divinus and Wolverines to play into, and without a Magneto there, DM is going to have to start getting the Hulk bubble to make sure that he doesn't get grabbed out of his own grabs.
All right, Hulk earned by Passoir, and yet another There we go. It's going to be the Eternal Bond coming on through. Answered first by Pineclone. Already getting themselves up the invisible barrier. Multiple stuns coming through. Jerky actually grabbed out of the air. May well have had their ultimate interrupted there by the grab from the Hulk. Oh, unable to get the interrupt. Wolver just gets so much value off the back of the Eye of Agamotto. We saw Damon trying for the grab. But, well, sometimes Wolver's just better. He's that guy. He's that guy.
Lurkin tried to use Eternal Bond too, so that Insomnia won the heal-off situation into the Invis boundary. That's why they put so much stock into Passivo counterplaying and grabbing Jerky out of Rage of Ultron so that Lone couldn't stack the Rage with the Invis boundary and out-heal Insomnia. They will have it back this fight around though, and they will be able to overlap that damage with the Dance of the Butterflies. The Noctis got the Horn of Proteus, but all eyes yet again fall to Demon. Insomnia have prized the Wolverine above all. Is it gonna work out for them? As that's the Dance of Butterflies fully mitigated. Too many dance partners. The Psylocke damage doesn't stick.
Good group up already. However, Damon has used their damage reduction. That Feral Rage has been expended, and now they will be vulnerable to poke. Passivo moves up onto the high ground, claiming that one away from Lone 9. And here we go. Actually, it does not land, thankfully, inside the Horn of Proteus. Giganto does not get their man. Saintamoto on the other side, though, isolated by Damon. Healing coming through from the Ultron, using their Rage to sustain the Psylocke, and Crisis gets scared away from the angle. Damon needs to look towards greener pastures, though. Easier target. Another missed Feral Leap onto the Doctor Strange, and it seems like they're not going to get anything off the back of this. I think the Damon bonked his little head. It's a little bit of a choke from our goat over here, and just thrown up towards the sky, maybe able to grab Jerky down. Lurkin has plenty of sustainability in the form of the Eternal Bond, and well, look at that. The Terror Cape is delivered when it was needed onto all of those vulnerable players. Out comes the invisible boundary. Crisis can't quite survive. The raw HPS output isn't there. Gonski's already used their ultimate here, and now there it is, the second invisible boundary. Yet another roll on through. Big damage coming through onto the Invisible Woman. It's been stalled long enough to bring back the Doctor Strange, portaling from on far. Passivo, though, if you come up close here, nobody's going to decimate you. Wolver never stood a chance. Yet another Exile slapping on through. Crisis could be overwhelmed. However, instantly just brought in by the Sonic Seduction, and that's going to be the Dance of the Butterflies. The last little bit of showmanship from Lone 9. They've scuppered Insomnia when it seemed unlosable. And here we go, the portal back. Is it going to have the time? Is it going to have the moment? They don't quite have it. Damon can't survive.
0, 2, 1.
Passivo is coming on through, has Monster Hulk, is world breaking, is breaking the entirety of Low 9's back line, but at the same time, trades are going down. Low 9 manages to sweep out Lurkin, who was having to play split off from the team. They were all tracking Eye of Agamotto, and he actually utilizes Dark Teleportation to put himself into a high ground position so that if Eye of Agamotto comes out onto the point, the Cloak and Dagger is outside of it. You can throw in your Dagger Dome, you can come in with your Veil of Light Force, everyone gets fully healed up and potentially survives the Maelstrom of Madness coming on through. But that just puts him right into Jerky's 1v1. And Cloak and Dagger is many things, but unfortunately, the damage that you do in Cloak form does not mirror the damage that an Ultron can deal out.
Yeah, the Ultron just pushing out so much.
30 seconds before you attack.
And well,
Get
Insomnia, now they truly are up against the wall marks. If they can't hold here, their tournament, their LAN hopes are over.
Demon is coming back on the Punisher this time. No Wolverine. Potentially we see the pivot over towards B. But right now, it's Storm, it's Cloak and Dagger, and Punisher, all to try and have that damage boost so that Demon can instantly drop one of these players from Low 9. We hop up onto the culling turret to have that CC immunity in case Low 9 try and jump onto us. As everyone from Insomnia stacks on up to see whether or not Wolver is going to try and make an aggressive play. Out comes the Terror Cape, and it's a duel, which Nocta gets the better of.
Yep, Wolver already falling down. Unfortunately, could not be protected while channeling that portal. So now, that was an ego peak. Oh, Damon. Oh, Damon, why? There was no need. You already had the advantage. They weren't going to roll on through without their Doctor Strange, but now they have the option. And Insomnia, they're falling apart at the seams, Marks.
Yeah, that was the hubris bell, and it do be ringing. might be ringing a funeral dirge too, as Insomnia's chances of being able to hold on to Symbiotic Surface just diminished significantly with how one-sided that fight was. We'll have Strategist ultimates, but they're not going to have Final Judgment bolt up. And it's going to have to be a high ground hold and any potential pick that stops Low 9's momentum. Otherwise, this could be it over for Insomnia.
5.5 minutes. This needs to be a Helm's Deep-esque hold. They've called Gondor for aid, but Gondor ain't answering. The Rohan will have to stand alone. Insomnia will have to stand alone. They're standing against Crisis, though. The damage is being done, but Damon's damage is slightly better. Maybe an isolated Doctor Strange having just take the jump pad could have been potentially punished by Jerky, but the punishment's coming at the moment from Frank Castle himself in the culling turret.
I mean, Low 9 are just putting pressure on the objective to try and force Insomnia to have to drop and contest. Jerky's just using his passive to make sure that 3 bodies are on the payload and it's picking up maximum speed. Very early, God of Mischief comes on through. Everyone from the side of Insomnia can just back on off, understanding that Gonski's ult is going to run out in a matter of moments. But if they back out, they give up payload progression, and Crisis is already flanking all the way around the back to take advantage of the fight that's happening on the front.
Lurkin doing their best to disengage after having to go deep, claiming all that territory with the Eternal Bond. Fair trade between Insomnia and Low 9.
This is such a long con coming through from Crisis. Does he just use Dance of the Butterflies when Demon tries to go for Final Judgment? And Insomnia don't know that the Psylocke's there? No! He uses it off of the Eye of Agamotto!
It's unreal. It's Wolver's season. And Passimo throws in their own ultimate, but got absolutely nothing. I mean, yes, they're going to be able to portal back, but Wolver, what an efficient play.
They're going to be portaling directly back into Last Stand. Psionic Seduction. Dance of the Butterflies. Insomnia used Final Judgment in that fight as well.
Almost there. Don't turn back now.
Oh no. Okay, they actually haven't portaled back. The instant attempt to try and take down Passimo. Just settling for one. Now Jerky going up against the Storm inside the Dancer of Butterflies, so they have to try and fade away. Cinemoda fell low enough that maybe Damon could pick it up on the outside. Now an angle for the shotgun could be everything. Doesn't want to go inside the invisible boundary, just demanding that attention from Low 9. Cinemoda's going to take a moment to come on back here, though, using that Psionic Seduction. Insomnia might have bought themselves a touch of stability, but they haven't been cleared out entirely yet. Pineclone and Gonski going down means that now they're out of time.
Such a smart play from Nocta to use a Mega Hurricane onto Saint Moto. You can't silence the Storm. A Mega Hurricane, very worthwhile trade, because now Psionic Seduction can come on through, but like you said, Insomnia have bought themselves time. They've got a high ground hold. This was what Wolver was holding Teleport for, though. Out comes the contest. The Strange Shield blocks the Terror Cape from coming on through, and Forever gets grabbed up and sent packing.
That means that there's no shield now to stop the Sonic Seduction from getting everything that it wants. Passimo's going to have to run back quickly. Damon overwhelmed. You can see just how much of a public enemy he is. One last portal, one last chance. Lurkin does their best to solve it out on the other side. Passimo is instantly ready to go. A Carbon Crush, I believe, is gone awry for now. Multiple members of Low 9 are waiting on the cart. Damon's got the Final Judgment good to go. And still with Passimo down, it's now or never. It's going to be the Eternal Bond. A little bit of additional safety, a little bit of additional healing. They need to take down Pineclone. Pineclone's gone missing in the midst of all of this. Sainamoto overwhelmed. And now the missiles, they're getting the pay dirt done. They're chasing down Wolver. The last dregs of Low 9 will be peeled off the cart, but every fight is last fight for Insomnia. There's still 2 minutes for Low 9.
No TP recontest as well. Relaxing Sky is going to have Invis boundary, but Wolver's about to get Eye of Agamotto. And that's something that you have to be concerned about. So too do you have to concern yourself with Jerky's position. Last Stand is going to be in play, which means Invis boundary is not the safe sanctuary that Insomnia want to be able to treat it as. Jerky's going all the way to the high ground. Might potentially be able to scoop the Punisher up as he comes out of his turret form.
Slowly approaches. Relaxing Sky needs to be quick on the trigger when it comes to that force physics. There's the Goddess Aura. Laying down damage, and the damage boost in turn. Crisis is going to get a little bit of early pressure in towards that bag. It's an unbelievable wombo combo onto Nocta. Everyone else going to be good to try and survive. Another 4-man from Wolver. He always delivers. When you demand results, the Wolf Pack, he's got that wolf in him, and he's screaming out, "Woo!" the wrath of the goddess will arrive from Nocta. But unfortunately, this dark and stormy night has already been going the way of the pack, and Wolf has been leading it with a howl and a absolute roar. Insomnia find themselves scuppered. Low 9 have stolen away the series.
Low 9 put Insomnia finally to sleep. They really came into this series, Harry. You can really tell that was counter-stratting going on. They knew all of the win conditions that Insomnia like to play with. The Wolverine dealt with, dispatched, symbiotic surface planned out to a pixel. Wolver's Eye of Agamottos. I mean, we highlighted the two strange players. We said it would come down potentially to a fight between those two vanguards, and those Eye of Agamottos settles it. Wolver is the Sorcerer Supreme coming on through in this matchup.
Pineclone getting almost top healing in the lobby as well as the Invisible One. That's so much value. Out healing a Loki. And not a tourist on Loki, one of the Lokis of Gonski.
32 assists as well from Pineclone.
Unbelievable.
It's really rough when you, like, if you ban out the Invis women, Cloak and Dagger make it for the ban phase, right? And a lot of teams are more than happy to leave the Invis women up because Eternal Bond Punisher is much stronger than Invis Boundary Punisher, but Low 9 were actually able to just deal with the offset of heal per second with Jerky on the Ultron. When it really mattered, they were more than happy to overlap the two strategist ultimates with how quickly Jerky was able to build it when they were defending, and then when it came to their attack, it really was just dispatching Nocturne on the Storm, Crisis on the Psylocke, especially in that last fight where he's able to fully go around the back and just catch the disengagement, managing to take Nocturne down before that Omega Hurricane can come on through and punish Low 9 stacked positions. That was the key clutch moment.
I mean, just so much value coming out of the Invisible Boundary, just obfuscating the approach of Wolver as well to allow for these consistently high value ultimates. There are so many fights that I can't believe Insomnia lost towards the end of that second point as well. What a clutch recontest. Unbelievable that Low 9 have comms clean enough after being together for such little time to be able to coordinate an overtime fight like that. Absolutely manic.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what this team grows into. To be entirely honest, I'm so excited to just see that how much was expected coming on through, because we were sort of looking at everything that Insomnia did, and it feels like you had an answer to everything, right? Symbiotic Surface, the Wolverine pick from Demon, you guys dealt with it masterfully.
Yeah, well, we scream them quite a lot. We know what they play, we know what they ban, we know what comps they run, and we just try to ban their comfort picks and just try to to counter what they're playing, because the comps they're playing are very hard to beat. They have a lot of tranks and stuff to kill, so
yeah,
we just worked our way through.
On screen right now, we've got one of your fire tornadoes. What was the rationale between moving over towards that double flyer with the Hela?
Well, our thoughts was like, the Wolverine is open. We only have EMEA, and I can't really play any other tank. So we just practiced 3 DPS comps, and Storm worked out pretty well. So we tried it.
And how has practice been going? Because obviously you guys were a very late put together roster. So have you guys been putting in like the hours to make up for it in scrims? Has the synergy come quickly?
Yeah, we, as Jerky said, we are kind of a new team, so we don't have many hours in scrims and everything. But we for the past week we scrimmed a lot, we played a lot, and we tried to synergize.
What's your experience like in competing thus far, Wolver? Is this your first esport, your first team that you've been on, or do you have a bit of experience competing so far?
Not really. I played with another Arab team before, so this is technically my second team I'm on. But yeah, so this is my second experience.
How did everyone sort of find themselves on Low 9 as well? Was it literally just a case of like everyone knew each other and you guys were like, okay, let's just make a play to try and get in? Or
honestly,
was there someone who pulled everyone in?
Honestly, I didn't know anyone from my team. I only knew Jerky and Crisis a little bit. But yeah, they just called me out and I joined, and I found out I liked them, I liked the team, so it worked out pretty well.
It's been awesome watching Low 9. How, I mean, obviously you expect to get number 1. How far did you guys expect to go? Did you think that this was going to be a closer series than it was?
To be honest, we expected to go lower, but we like the point. We like where we are right now, and I hope we go even further. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Wolver. We very much hope to see Low 9 go even further in the bracket as well. Congratulations on the win. We'll let you get back to your team.
Thank you.